All right, so we started recording. So today's class is one of the classes that I always wonder when I want to teach it, because it's sort of you don't realize how much you need it until you need it. Today's class is about debugging your mumps programs. How do we know that how can you figure out if you have a problem, how are you going to tackle the problem, and so on. So um, we are going. I have been flattered by Mr. Heller's routine, which is not working properly. So I'm going to be actually using it to figure out what the problem is. So let's actually debug that routine, and it's a very good routine for us to debug. And that's going to be our example to figure out how we're going to use it to apply all the various debugging techniques that we have available at our disposal. And the other thing I want to mention is Jignesh asked a long time ago what are ways I could use to see the processes running on the system. And I'm gonna try to show you some utilities um, that are available to do that. Last but not least, I believe several of our students actually use Cache at work. Can you tell me who you are? Just tell me, because the I'm going to I'm gonna tell you that essentially uh, the commands for debugging are mumps implementation specific, so they're going to be different. They're going to be different on cache, and I'm gonna tell you what they are on cache. But we don't have a cache license, so I can't show them to you. But I'm gonna tell you what the debugging commands on cache are, so that you know that you could use them on cache as well. So um, so the first, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with Tom Heller's routine. And if you remember, I assigned you a pumpkin homework last week, the pumpkin weighing homework. And let's just take a look at Tom's routine and see what it does. So I'm gonna enter my pumpkin's weight. Oh, look at this. It says undefined local variable. So big question is, how are we going to fix this? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the first way that we actually debug routines, and that way is just putting something called the break command, which tells mumps to stop at that routine. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to oops. I should do this first. And now, okay, now we're gonna do the routines usually. All right, so um, I should have looked at where it told us that the error was, but it told us that the error was at S1. Told us S1 plus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm gonna put a break command over here. And I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Okay, it tells us that the routine is so if you ever get this message, cannot z-link an active routine, you need to type z-go-to. And z-go-to will blow off the stack, and you could type z-link and the routine name z08rtn6. Okay, so now we can go ahead and run the routine again, z08rtn6. All right, here's the important part. It now stopped at where we put the break command, which means that the routine is just has just stopped now. So now we have to figure out. We need to figure out. Okay, what's when you put a break command, you essentially know I'm looking for this thing and I'm gonna inspect it. And when we brought when we ran the routine before, what happened is it actually told us that a variable is undefined. So let's not try doing that yet. Let's just do something called zContinue. zContinue tells mumps to continue execution. And here we get the error again. So notice that the break command happened at S1 plus Z08 routine 6, and then the next command happened. Excuse me. Our undefined variable happened at the next line. So let's restart doing this routine again. Z go to, and we're gonna do Z08 RTN6. Okay, here we go. So we have the break construction. Now we're gonna try to write the rec variable. Oh, look, the rec variable is not defined. So that makes us think, okay, I need to figure out why this happened, and which this means we just have to go back to our routine, and we have to read it from the top and figure out how come rec is not defined. So doesn't exactly, it's not very clear to us that why rec isn't defined, and it looks like the programmer never actually defined record before. So maybe we have to start from the very beginning of the routine. So there is a way to do that as well. Okay, so we're going to do something slightly different now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do something called Z-break. So break lets you stop in the middle of a routine, but Z-break lets you define outside of a routine when to break. So we can type now Z-break upcaret Z08 RTN6, and that makes us break at when we execute the routine itself. So we can do this now. And so the first line of code actually is this. So that's not very helpful. What's this line of code? So there's another command for us to learn. It's called $text, and $text gives you the actual line of code. Okay, that's good. So in order to go on to the next command, we use a command in GTM called zStepInto. All right, guys, I know this is too much to absorb all at once, so I'm trying. I'll go over it again. So, but just follow me over here. So, okay. So zStepInto tells us that the next line that we are going to execute is the following line. So now I have to write $text of this. Okay, good. So let me go into the next line as well. And now it says that the next line is EW plus 1. Read, enter the pumpkin's weight. Now notice that this line has not executed yet. So now it asks me for the pumpkin's weight. All right. So now my big question is, what's this next line? Oh, okay. It sets EN. Manohar, just hang with me for a moment here. I'm going to explain more and more of this as we move along. All right. So I need to execute the next instruction. So I type z step into, and then I want to see what this line is. Okay, that's good. And what if, right, remember this line has not executed yet, so I could write count. So count is 0. So if I do z step into, now I write count now. It's 1 because I just executed set count equal count plus 1. Oh. Okay, so we're at the break right now. So we're gonna z step into. Okay, the next line that's going to execute is set y of x sub 1 comma en equal record. So let's find out if x sub 1 is defined. Yes, it is. Let's find if en is defined. Yes, it is. Let's see if record is defined. Record is not defined. So that sort of tells me that the problem might be that the fact that record is not defined. So the next instruction, so again, I don't have to move, I actually don't have to execute this line to find out that it's going to error, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Z step into, and it's going to tell me now, GTM is going to tell me, oops, I encountered an error. The variable is not defined. Okay. Let's go. Oops. Okay. Yeah, I know what's it doing here. It's continuing to break because I executed another mumps routine. So Z continue, and it will just continue on. So we think, given all of what happened, I think the problem is that the variable REC is not defined. And I honestly am not sure what's it supposed to be, but I think I have an idea of what's it supposed to be. So, what I'm going to do, yep, Tom, thank you. That's exactly right. That's what I was gonna think. I'm gonna just replace it with an empty string. I'm gonna hit save. Oh, and we're getting the Z-link problem again. So I'm gonna type Z go to. This pops the stack. Z-link Z08 RTN6. Okay. Now, let's run the routine again. And it did not break this time, but it's gonna break at the break command. And okay, here we go. The break command, we finally figured out where it is. So write $text of this. Z step into. All right, so it's executing the next line. So write $text of this line. And then we're gonna move into, we think now that this was the line that we had the error. We think that this line should not error right now. So we're gonna execute the next line, and they're gonna see what the next line is. Okay, if count is that less than 3, do EW. So we're gonna continue on. Oh, I see. So it's gonna execute EW again. So let's look at EW. Okay, so it's gonna read the pumpkin weight again. So at this point, we think we fixed the bug. So we don't want to keep Z stepping into the routine. So what I'm gonna do is type Z continue. And here, enter the pumpkin's weight. And Z continue means it's gonna continue on. And remember the break, it still hits the break because the break is in the code. So we type Z continue again. Z continue. All right. So in the end, it printed for us 2 pumpkins, not 3 as I actually wanted. So we're gonna have to debug this as well. But before I move on, I'm going to pause and I'm going to ask, who is completely confused right now? I just want to know right now if you've never. This would seem a bit familiar to if you've actually debugged any computer program before, but if you haven't, you would be really confused. And I need you to speak out now and tell me exactly where are you guys confused. See, Alice is typing something. Okay, Tom, how do you get multiple variables with the same value? Z step into. Okay. Have you, Manoj and Manohar, you both asked the same question. Z step. Have you ever used Visual Studio or Eclipse or GDB? Any of these in programming environments? Okay, good. So if you remember in Visual Studio and all of these, you get basically 3 different stepping methods. One is step into, step out of, and step over. Do you remember these? Okay, good. Manohar. Okay, good. So what the step command does is the same thing that it does in Visual Studio. So I'm going to explain it in more detail. And essentially, the way it works is as follows. You in GTM you have 3 Z step commands. The Z step commands in GTM are Z step into, Z step out of, and Z step over. And Z step into essentially lets you execute a line. It lets you follow a do command. And Z step over means you don't want to follow the do command. You just go through it. You just have it run it. And then Z step out of means you're inside a function called by a do command or a procedure, and you're getting out. So that's that sort of answers your question, I hope. Um, Okay, good. So I need to get back to Tom Heller's and Alice's question. All right, Linda's typing something. Okay. Does the Z continue cancel the Z break? The answer is no. The Z continue just tells GTM to continue execution of the program. Uh, if if it's in a loop and it hits the Z break again, it's gonna stop. I Z break I actually set on a specific line, and if I happen to hit that line again, I'm going to break again. Okay, so let's try to answer Alice's question. Alice, I know this is very hard if not used a graphical debugging environment or any other debugging environment. But the way it works is, we use something called the break command or the Z break command. And Manohar wants to know the exact difference. I'll get into that. And it stops execution of your program. And so GTM will let you run line by line and using the zstep command, which is Linda just asked about. Zstep lets you execute line by line by line by line. And so once you're done debugging, you could type Z continue to have it continue execution. No, Alice. Z continue means that you are, that you don't want to debug anymore and you want the MUMPS program to continue. Okay, let's see, Jignesh. Don't forget about Thomas. Oh, okay, Tom questions. Okay, that's right. Tom's question scrolled up. It's so too far away. Z continue does not bring you out from debug mode. It just lets you continue execution of the code until you possibly hit the next problem in the code and the next debug point in the code. So GTM. Okay, that's good. Okay, Tom, let me answer your first question. How do you get multiple variables with the same value? I don't understand that question. You cannot have a variable cannot have the same value. I'm not sure what you mean exactly. Okay, I can try answering your second question, which is, can you edit the lines using the step? The answer is no. Neither GTM. Oh, okay. Neither GTM nor cache lets you edit the lines. You actually have to stop your routine and start it over in order to edit the lines. So that does not exist. And, that's okay. We can live with that. So Tom actually had a question about the homework. What if I have two pumpkins with the same weight? How would I know which pumpkin is which? The answer is, it's sort of the same problem that FileMan deals with. If you have two patients or two providers with the same name, how do you know which is which? Well, you really don't, but you do have different record numbers for them. So let's actually run your routine again and simulate that problem. So I'm going to type Z break Z08 RTN6. And then I'm going to Okay, so one thing I'm going to make a change now. This is a trick now. This is you'll need to remember this and probably just commit it to memory, write it on a sticky piece of paper or something. In order for writing dollar text after each line is extremely silly. You guys would all agree it's really, really silly that I would actually have to do that. So um, what I do is I do something. I do this. I set dollar $z step, which is a variable that GTM executes every single line it runs, to be write dollar text of at dollar $z position, comma, new line, then break. And so if I type Z step into, this time it actually prints each line it's going to execute. Oops. Each line is going to execute before it actually executes it. So now that makes that silliness of writing the dollar text of each line go away. So now we get to enter the pumpkin's weight. So we're going to do 44. Okay, now I want you to notice closely what happens here. Notice that the line number did not change. So the reason this happened is that, strangely enough, I ran a break. Every time I do a single Z step, I actually execute a break because the variable Z step has a break in it, except that the routine also has a break. So I actually broke twice. So that's why when I typed Z step into, I got to the same line. Okay, I'm going to write that dollar Z step. Let me just get it. So this one, until you know what it means, you just have to memorize it and just put it in. And cache people, I'm going to come help you in a moment. So I'm gonna give you the equivalent commands for cache. So Z step into, and then we're going to do this. Okay, good. We're gonna run it again. And here we go. Again, 44. Z step into. All right. So Tom's question was, how do we have two pumpkins with the same weight? So let's just Z-write Y and take a look at it. So Tom, what you notice is that, you're going to see here that you have two pumpkins with the same weight, and you could tell them apart, actually. Does that make sense? Because you could see that pumpkin 1 has the weight 44, and the pumpkin 2 has weight 44. Okay, good. So that's how you're able to tell them apart, and that's how FileMan tells them apart. FileMan does the same thing. If you have two people with the same name, you'd find them in the B index with the same name, but they have different internal entry numbers, just like you have over here. So that's how you'd be able to tell them apart. Okay. So we are done. So we're just gonna say, okay, Z continue. That will make our program continue. Oh, Jignesh and Alice and Tom, I think they all asked the same question. Does G continue turn off debugging? The answer is no. I'll show you how. Now, if I write dollar text of S1 plus 4, which is the next line, Z08 RTN 6, see if that one exists. No, it does not. So what's the one? So we move to the tag called PT. So let's do PT plus 1. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type z break pt plus 1 up caret z08 rtn6. So now I have a break at a breakpoint at pt plus 1, which is the place is gonna print weights. So if I type z continue, so look what happens. It actually does the do that we're expecting, and we're gonna type 33, and it executes that break command that we have in the routine, and then I type z continue again, and then it breaks at where I told it to break. So z continue does not turn off your debugging. It just continues until it hits the next debug point in your program. So we are going to just hit z continue again, and looks like we're in a loop. I don't know why, but here we're gonna hit it again. Oh, we're gonna do it again. Okay, and we're done. So we've noticed that, inadvertently or advertently, we're actually going through the route. We're doing the print routines actually several times without us needing to. Okay, so let me pause for more questions. Does anybody have questions right now? Okay, I see that nobody has any more questions. That's good. So, um, I'm trying to make this easy for you, and before I move on, I actually need to mention a few things to the people using Cache. So, on Cache, you have to do several things differently. And I'm sorry I don't have a way to illustrate this for you, but let me give you a few tips. So on Cache, you actually have a graphical editor, and there is a graphical editor for GTM as well, but it's not free. And I'll talk about that later in a moment. So on Cache, ZBreak is the same. So all right, Cache. There's no uh, the other thing, what's different is z continue con actually uh, z continue does not exist on Cache. So what you have to do on Cache, what you actually have to do is, um, let me see. I'm going to send you a URL. I'm trying to. Let me just find it. Here we go. Break. You have to use something like this on Cache. So, um, so the closest equivalent in Cache is, let me see, is break and then C, then go to. So that's the way you do z continue on Cache. And z step on Cache also does not exist. What you have to do is, there's something called break, and I believe it's S. Go to. So, um, so stepping mode on cache is determined by the letter after break. So if you look at the URL I sent you and you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll notice that you could do BS, BS minus, BS plus, and so once you set the stepping mode, typing G or go to steps on each line. Okay. Let me see what else is different about cache that you need to know. Now, in GTM, we used a command called zgoto on GTM removes the stack. To do the same on cache, it's q without an argument. So it's just a quit on your debug line, and it removes the stack for you. Let's see what's the other. Okay. On cache, zlink does not exist. What you have to do is you have to type zload instead. Okay, now the other thing I want to mention, and that is basically this doing, in my honest opinion, debugging on the command line in GTM is actually easier than debugging on the command line on cache. However, cache has an advantage, and that is that if you're actually running it with the Windows console, you get the Cache Studio, and Cache Studio lets you debug processes using the Studio. And so I don't have anything to show you on Cache Studio, but I have a good hint. On the Cache Studio, I believe under the options menu, actually, hold on. Maybe I have it. Well, I actually don't have a copy of Cache right in front of me. There is a very handy option called attach to process, and that's going to let you attach to a specific process on the server, and you're going to have a graphical environment to debug in. And you would and it would simply mean you could just attach to the process and debug it over there. So that's all I'm going to say today about cache. Does anybody have any questions about these things? Is there a reference for this? Yes, there is. There is one unfortunate thing is that cache does not have the best documentation compared with GTM, but I'm going to show you there. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that hey, Rob, how about I actually send you the references after class because I have to find them. I know they exist, but broadly speaking, there is one of the references is called cache object script programming, and one of them has instructions on how to debug stuff on the command line, and I believe the guide that to Cache Studio has instructions on how to debug stuff using the studio. And I wish we had a cache license because I could show you this. I could show you all this stuff, but we don't. So I can't really show it to you. But I'll send you the links to the documentation. Okay. Let me show you a few handy tricks and debugging on VISTA. So again, this is a very broad topic, and I'm sort of giving you things from all directions, but I hope some of the stuff is going to sink in eventually. So remember, I could run FileMan using this thing, and I want to show you something that's that you as a programmer have access to that users normally don't, and that is Control C. If you press Control C anywhere when on your prompt, you actually get out of the program. Oh, what's FileMan? FileMan is the database manager for VISTA. Okay, so when you do a control C, it actually gets you out of the program, and it lets you see. We could see the stack exactly where we are. So remember, we use the stack. We use gshow to show the stack. By the way, on cache, people on cache, I need to mention this. Cache use $stack to see the stack. So that's important. But so here's the good thing about Control C. You could see the stack, and you could write $text of the last level of the stack, which is up here. Control C and V. And you could see right now that we're running the D command with read. We're reading X, and it's asking us for the time. It's never mind. It's just reading a variable. So what I could do now that I'm down here, I could do something called Z-step, like I did before, and step through the code line by line. So I could say I'm gonna write 1, and look at that. It's telling me what the next line is gonna execute is. So I could keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, and so on. So I'm going through now FileMan code, line by line. Okay, so now is a good time to show you the other features of Z-step. So I want you to see, I want to show you the stack again, and I want to show you that we are actually in the routine check val +1 up caret dic 0. Before I move on, is there anybody here who does not understand what a stack is, broadly speaking? I mean, you don't have to know exactly how it's implemented. It's sort of a way that a program manages its various levels when we're running executions. I explained the stack a little bit in the last class. Anybody have any question about it right now? Okay, so moving on. So essentially, I want to show you that I'm going to keep running inside of FileMan. And you notice I need to show you where I am right now. I'm at check val up +2 up caret dic 0. So one thing I want to do is I don't want to continue running this part of the routine. So this I have something called z step out of, and what z step out of is gonna tell mumps, okay, I don't want you to print each line you're gonna run. Just run them anyway and return me back to the place I came from. What's the place I came from? It is, let me move my cursor, a1 plus 1 up caret dic. So the next line should be a1 plus 2 up caret dic when I execute this. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what happened. We were on a dot level. And a dot level, if you remember last class, is executed using a do command. And z step out of takes us out of a do command. So that's why this happened. Okay. Now, as I predicted, I am now in a1 plus 2 up caret dic. So if I do the stack again, you'll notice that's where I am right now. So I can type z step into and continue execution. All right. Now, the other feature I want to show you is I just showed you z step out of. There's only 1/3 z step kind, and that one is z step over. So let's say I actually know what this routine does and I don't want it to run again. And so I'm just going to say z step over. My prediction on what's going to happen is that it's going to run this in the background, but then it's going to run the quit, which means I'm going to be taken out of the A1 somewhere else. So let me take this. And I was taken out of the A1 because of this quit. Okay, I don't want to break anymore, so I'm just going to do z continue. And I just continue back into FileMan as if nothing happened. So Control C is your friend. It's really important that you know how to use it because it's really, really, really cool. Whenever you're in a part of Vista that you don't know how it works, you could actually just start the program and type Control C, and then you'd get broken in the middle. So let's do another example. Oh yes, thank you. Linda has a good suggestion as well, and that is if you go into an infinite loop, Control C will get you out of the infinite loop. Okay, so let's actually run Tony's routine, and I'm gonna show you something else that we have. I'm going to show you another tool we have at our disposal, but it only works on Vista and it's not going to work on Paideia because Paideia does not have all of Vista. So, okay, let me go ahead and run it. So, if anybody of you knows Kevin Toppenberg wrote something, the TMG IDE, and it actually lets you gives you a sort of a graphical interface to debugging while you are running inside of GTM. Oh, I have to fix this this bug, so don't worry about it. So, so here you could say I want to start a debugger session, and it's ask you what routine you want to execute. So let's do Tony Curran's routine. And I hope having a graphical debugger is actually going to help you guys understand how you step through a routine. I am not sure what happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get out of MUMPS and run this again. Okay, good. Okay, I want to ask everybody, can you see this okay? If you have a white screen, it's going to be hard to see, but I'm hoping everybody could see it okay. All right, good. Alice, Jignesh, Manohar, Manoj. Okay. Okay, you guys could see it okay. So let's actually work. So let's work on this, and this is at least it's going to be a good instruction on how debugging works in general in computer program, because it's much easier to show it in a it's much easier to show it graphically. So remember the step commands that I talked about? Here they are. Step into. But before I do that, I want to show you all the capability that Kevin has. So if you do a question mark, you could see that you have all of these different options. Ah, why is it not continuing? It's not working. Uh-oh. Yes, it is. Kevin's debugger is buggy. Actually, none of my signals are going through. Oh, here we go. Oh boy, why does this happen to me? This happened before. Okay, guys, I think I know what we need to do. I need to terminate the screen session and start a new one. So, Control A, escape. And mine is stuck too. Yeah. Control AD doesn't work for you, Linda? Nope. I hate it when this happens. Okay. I know how to take care of this. I've taken care of it before, so. Okay. Okay, I'm starting a new screen session, guys. So log into vForum again. All right, I just started a new session, and you could join my screen. Ah, this is interesting. Somebody was playing a trick on us. Was Gus changing the the server as we were doing the class? I thought so too. Okay. Okay. We're back where we started. I hope it works this time. So, you remember where I actually covered, well, I actually mentioned that Z step. So the action here, so I'm gonna hit enter, and I want you to see what just happened. When I hit enter, it moved. Oh, okay. Let me Rob, give me a sec. I'm gonna kill off your screen. I know how to do it. Oh, not mom's. That's great. You know, guys, I don't even know which one is your screen, Rob. Sorry. I'm trying to think about it. Just a moment. Uh, okay, Rob, I don't have a way right now to figure out which user you are because all the users look the same to me. So if you can't get out, I want you to do just close your window by pressing the X that close the terminal and log in again and then join my screen. Sorry about that. I'll wait for you until you're there. Actually, I see you, so that's good. I see that you're here. Okay. So, all right. So I want to show you guys what happened. So here's step into again, and I want to show you that it actually moved to the next line. So the next line should say, "Welcome to the Halloween festival." Yep, it actually did that, but it actually scrolled off the screen. So, all right. So the next thing it's gonna do is it's gonna say do get weight. So now remember, guys, when I do a step into it follows the do. So let's do that. I'm gonna hit enter. So remember here it went to get weight and it executed the first line that actually has a command, which is write. Please enter all weights in pounds. Did it break again? It broke again. That's way too sad. I wish it worked. Oh. Yeah, I think so. I'll have to move on. All right, so what I'm going to do then is yeah, let me try to answer Alice's question. So Alice is asking, oh, actually, is it working now? Well, whatever it did, I'm gonna try to press Q, Q, and out. Alice's question is where will Z step into follow go to? Z step into follows everything, Alice. So it mainly follows any program that changes the stack level. So the answer is yes. I don't know what's happening, and I'm just gonna press Control C. Here we go. And we're gonna do reset. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is we're gonna run through Tony's routine using Z-step and Z-goto and whatnot. And we are not gonna use Kevin's debugger because it's buggy. But you know, if anybody in the class wants to make that their semester project to fix it up, they are certainly very welcome to. So let's take a look at Tony's routine first so that we get an idea of how it's gonna work. So, oops. It looks like my keys are not working. Let me do reset, stty sane. Okay. So we're gonna here we go. Technical difficulties. Okay. No, Z02 homework 9. Okay, so I just want to show you overall how Tony's routines work, and you could just could see that its overall structure. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to run this routine and go through it line by line. And we're hopefully going to encounter some do's and go-tos and whatnot that will help us exercise our newfound knowledge. So rather than putting a break inside of the routine, which is what we did before, we are just going to put a Z break and we're going to tell it to stop at the beginning of the routine. And then we are going to do Z02 HY9. All right. So if we do a Z step into, oh look, we sort of have a problem. It doesn't give us our magic. It doesn't give us print each line for us. So we have to set that again. So I need to talk GTM into putting this as a default rather for us to do it every time. So actually, just as an FYI to people, I actually have this in my permanent clipboard on my computer. So every single time I open GTM, and I'm debugging, I sort of just copy and paste it there instead of me having to type it over again. So now we're gonna z-step into. All right, so you could see the next line is gonna write welcome to the Halloween festival. Let's see if it's gonna do it. It's gonna do it. So now it's gonna say do get weight, and we actually want to follow it down into do get weight. So we're gonna go down, and it says here, right, please enter all weights in pounds. I should see that. Very good. Oh, now we do have a little problem with our code, and that is actually it shows this on the same line. So we could fix this. We could fix this somehow. I think. Let's see. We could say write new line, comma $text $position. Think that's gonna fix it. So now, remember here it says read pumpkin 1. So we're gonna put pumpkin 1, which is, it's 5 pounds. And here he says, if plus weight 1 is not greater than 0, write invalid weight, quit. So let's write weight sub 1. Yep, it's 5. That's good. So we keep going. So we're going to read pumpkin 2. 6. Z step into. All right. 8. Z step into. Quit. So, okay, this is important. So remember, this is our stack right now. So in order, when we quit out of get weight plus 10, where are we going to end up? This is a question for the students. Anybody? Okay, Linda said weight plus 1. Linda is very close. It's actually the line just after weight plus 1, whatever line it is. Z step into, and then he says, if any of the weights actually have Q in them, go ahead and quit. He says, do end and then quit. So we're going to Z step into again. So here he's checking if the weights are not greater than 0, then he's going to execute something. But I think if we Z-write the weight, we're going to find out that weight 1, 2, and 3 are all greater than 0. So this is not going to execute. So we've just ran an if, therefore what's the else says if didn't run, therefore we're gonna run the else. So it's gonna run do weight array and then output. So Z step into, and then we are down under in weight array now. Z step into. There you go. So Z write WT now, and we could see that his new array, and this is what it looks like. Z step into. So the winner, so here he uses $order. Oh, sneaky. Oh my God. Tony, you're gonna have to extend your hand so I could slap it. So, no, you're sneaky because you essentially, this line is very difficult to read, this part. Let me just, So you could do that. That's fine, but it's pretty unreadable. He's saying, "Get me the last subscript, and while I'm at it, get me the value of my last subscript and put it in this subscript." And therefore, you're essentially making sort of some unreadable code, and I'm very glad that you're doing that. But it's not gonna help your fellow students right now. Okay, so what Tony? No, no, no! Don't worry, don't worry. It's just I don't know what to tell. Just I'm stroking you from afar. So what what Tony is doing is that he's doing a dollar order over here, and since dollar order is an expression, it's gonna get you a number or nothing, and so when it resolves itself, it's going to get dollar order of -1 is gonna get you the number 8. So therefore, wait. Let's actually run it. So if I write this, here you go. So you get see that this is 8. So let's see weight of so weight of let's see v comma 8 is going to be 3. So we should see is the winner is pumpkin 3. And then he's gonna loop through the other weights. I see extra credit. He used the for loop. And then we head back. We must have popped that stack. So let me see where we are. We're at weight plus 8. So that's it. We're done with the program. Okay, let me pause one more time. I'm going to ask, are you guys really confused yet? Was this making sense? I really need to know. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to put in some extra time this week that if you need me to personally go over with you on all of these concepts, you let me know and I'll do it, because they are a bit complex. If you've programmed before, this is probably old hat to you. But if you've never programmed before, this is really, really, really new, and it's so hard to understand. Okay, you're getting it slowly. So, anyways, what I want to mention then is that your homework is going to be, you're going to have to just use these tools to debug your routine. Just use them simply and start and easily, and that's all you have to do is just practice. Because when in real life, when you are actually working inside of Vista Code, you are going to spend 90% of your time debugging. So this is something you're going to be doing all the time. You're going to say, why the hell doesn't this work? And then you're going to keep stepping through the code line by line by line by line and figuring out why it doesn't work. Okay, before I forget, I just need to mention that the IDE for GTM that you could actually use to debug code in GTM is called Syringy. So let me type its name down. That's a graphical routine editor and a routine debugger. If you use Syringy, it's for $500 last time I checked. If you're programming MUMPS every day and you do very complex routines, it's well worth the money. Um, just want to mention, just want to let you know though, uh, you can use it as a routine editor for free for GTM, but it does require some setup. It does not work out of the box. Okay. Um, let me see. I'm trying to think of another example while we still have a few more minutes left. Huh? Oh, Larry's watching us. Okay, good, good. That's okay. That's good. That's good. So, um, let's run Tony's routine again. All right. So I know it might be boring for us, but it's okay. It's another repetition. So, time for me to introduce you to a new command, zshow b. So zshow shows currently defined breakpoints. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the routine again. Okay, so we're going to do z step into, 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 into. Okay, now you remember that I did not want, let's say I'm writing this program and I have debugged get weight all the way through, and I don't want to go through it ever again. So what do? I don't want to go into it, so I could type z step over. And I want you to look carefully about what happens in my line counter, which is my line counter. Let me move my cursor, is at weight plus 1. Okay, notice what happened. It actually did do get weight, but it did not take me there into each line. So it actually just ran everything. And get weight has reads in it, and that's why it's asking me for stuff. So notice that the next line that executed. Now, let me move my cursor again. See, weight plus 1 was that was the first line we ran. When I did z step over, the next line is stopped at is weight plus 2. Okay, good. So the next line is the one that's checking that I have positive weights. All right. So again, we have this is a more complex case, so I want you to follow me carefully here. So I'm going to step into here, and so I'm going to step into weight array first. Okay, but now I'm inside of weight array, but let's say I've debugged weight array all the way through. I don't want to go into it again. So, but I'm already into it. So what do? I want to get out. Z step out of. But okay, who wants to guess when I press enter where I'm going to be? Okay. Linda says weight plus 7. How about Jignesh? Okay, that sounds right. You and Linda have both the same answer, and alas, but the incorrect answer. That you are going to end in output because on the same line we were doing the do, we went down to the do, we got out of it, so it's going to do the next one, and we're going to go into it again. Okay, now here's a for loop. Now for loops sometimes could get very, very, very long. I don't want to go over the for loop. So what do? I don't want to go into the for loop using the do command. So I'm going to do z step over. So the for loop printed out the pumpkin ways for me, and then in the end I'm getting this. I'm down at output plus 10. Output plus 10, the computer told me is a quit. So if I execute the output, the quit, I'm supposed to pop my level of the stack. So let's see our stack. Z step into. It should be wait plus 7. Oh, okay. So wait plus 7 must be a comment line, right? Dollar text of wait plus 7. Okay, Z02. Give me a moment, Jignesh. All right, so it is a comment line, so there's nothing in it. So now it's going to execute end. Now, I don't want to do end. How about I just want to step over it? So I type z step over. Done. And then the last line is another quit. So I just do z step into, and I'm done. Okay. Jignesh's question was, I'm a bit confused that z step over is like z continue. No, z step over takes you out of your current level in the stack into the level of stack above you. Does that make sense? Z continue means continue the program until the next breakpoint, which might or might not exist. So I'll give you an example in FileMan. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to press Control C here, and I'm going to show you the stack level. So I'm going to type Z continue, and actually no, I don't want Z continue. I want to just do Z step into, and I'm going to type hit enter. Now let's take a look at our stack. So I want to get out of this level into this line. So what I'm gonna do is, oh sorry, you don't see my highlighting this way. I want to get out of here into down here. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to run the rest of this. I'm going to do Z step out of, and okay. It did pop us out of the stack, but it popped us out, looks like 2 levels rather than 1 level. We don't have to know exactly how that happened, but that's what it did. That's what Z step out of. That's what Z step out of did. Let me show you what Z continue does. Z continue just lets the program continue without any debugging left. So basically, Z continue almost takes you out of debugging until the next time you hit a breakpoint. Z step out of takes you out of a specific level into the level before it. Okay? Does this help answer the question? Oh, I'm sorry. Z step over. Oh my God, I gave you the wrong answer, right? The right answer to the wrong question. Okay, Z step over. Let's do this. Z step into. So I want us to read this code carefully, and I want to show you what's going to happen. So you see this do over here, Jignesh? You see this? This do is actually going to take you into a level deeper. A level deeper. So the next line should be, if we look at all plus 2, DIA1 should have a dot on it. Yes, it does. You see the first dot down there? So this code will run except if we tell mumps go ahead and run it, but don't show it to me. So we're gonna tell mumps that, and the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna tell it Z step over. So you notice that it did not go into all plus 2, which it is what it would have done if I actually said Z step into. Another example. This routine, you could see it starts with the label S. The label S, and it's gonna execute the routine now up caret percent DTC. Now I don't want it to actually show me every single step into now of percent DTC. So what I'm gonna do is type Z step over, and it should execute just the next line, or depending on what that goto does. No, the goto took me to the queue. Okay, but the point is that do did not execute in the foreground. Does that make sense? Okay, okay. So that yes. Remember, guys, most of this core FileMan code was written in the late 70s. So think of how much computer memory we had back then. All right. So, what I am going to do is I'm gonna try to be available around just at specific times. If you want to just send me an email or give me a phone call. Give you my phone number, or text me to 0. This is my phone number. If you need help, I'm very happy to sit over with you and go over with you personally, stepping on doing everything step by step again. Because I realized that for people who did not program before, this is really difficult. And I just introduced the do command last week, and that was hard. And now we're actually using the do command, and we're going in and out of routines. And so my advice to you is practice, and practice will make perfect, but don't expect to get it, get it from the first time. So anyways, that's it for our class today, and we're gonna see you next week.